Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Thursday. It's time for a Magic News. We shifted the Magic News to Thursday this week, and there is a lot of news to talk about. If you don't know what Magic News is, the idea is that I'm going to bring you everything that's going on in the world of magic. I'm going to talk to you about everything that you know what's going on, and you can make your own opinion up. There's always interesting stuff happening in magic, and this week is no exception. So we're going to get straight into it by looking at this week's Magic News. If you have any sort of news that you want to talk about yourself, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will happily add it to next week's show. But we're going to get into it this week. Let's go. Okay, so the first piece of magic news we're going to talk about is Phil Smith from Phil Smith Creative. As you guys know, I'm very good friends with Phil Smith, and Phil Smith has been responsible for making so many of my crazy ideas come into fruition, making them a reality. Working with Phil is great because he's not just an incredible graphic designer, he's not just the leading expert when it comes to playing card marking systems, but he's also a very knowledgeable magician and mentalist. So because of that, he can bring like that knowledge and that experience of being a performer to the table on top of all of his incredible graphic design skills. The reason I tell you this is Phil Smith has created a new product on his website called the Italia Arcana. And this is your chance to work with Phil Smith on a bespoke product specifically for you and your act. So let me explain. You can read all about this on Phil Smith Creative, but basically there's three levels, there's three tiers. And at the bottom tier, the first tier, he will work with you and help you create a product, and he will produce it and everything as a one-off product that you can put into your show that is a unique piece for you. So you will come to him and you'll say, well, you know what, I've always wanted to do this. And the two of you will brainstorm the idea, put it all together, and you'll end up with a piece of magic that is very original and exclusive to you, that you have something original that you can perform to your audiences. That's the bottom level. The next level is to actually take that idea and make it a physical product that you can then sell, or you can go to production companies and sell on, to the production company, somebody like a Penguin Magic or a Murphy's Magic. And with this version, Phil will do the same thing. He'll work with you. He'll help you design and develop a trick that you can then take to production companies. But he's going to go far and beyond just making the trick. He's going to create all the assets that you need, so you can literally say to that production company, look, here are the assets, this is everything you need, this is it, it's all ready to go, this is the thing, and you have the rights to be able to do that. The next level is kind of the top level. I want to get this right, I don't want to get it wrong, because I don't want to get this wrong. I would never do that. So let me just that's why I've got my laptop with me, because there's a few things to talk about on this Magic News. I want to make sure that I've got it right. Okay, so here we go. So the Italia Arcana. Okay, so you have three levels. Here we go. So level one is the Artisan Edition. So it comes with handcrafted performance sets of your effects, recording available, ideal for face-to-face and in-person performances. Perfect. So for tier 2, the Masterwork upgrade, you get all of that, plus you get the full commercial rights, manufacturing rights are yours, blueprint, artwork, production templates all delivered, custom packaging and design to reflect your brand, launch-ready marketing materials, option for ghost design to release under your own name or brand. So it's ideal for creators planning to release the piece to a wider market. So that's that level. Level 3 is the Legacy Edition, and that's for creators that are wanting to bring their effect to a global stage. So it includes everything from tier 1 and 2, plus performance rights for television, broadcast, streaming, other mass media, custom terms negotiated based on scope, blah, 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 full consultation on presentation, scripting, visual framework for effects. So those are the three tiers. It's designed for practical, elegant effects, not large-scale illusions or high-tech builds. It's ideal for personal, close-up and parlor-style performances. However, the restrictions are It's ideal for personal face-to-face performances or boutique releases. Projects that are overly complicated or overly complex or outside of the scope may be declined. If you're unsure whether your idea fits, message Phil first and you can talk through it. And the performance rights, the TV rights, are only included in level 3. So it's well worth speaking to Phil as somebody who has worked with Phil on many projects in the past. He is an absolute genius, and I do not use that word lightly. This is an incredible opportunity to have an idea that you've actually conceptualized, actually seen through to a final physical product that you can put into your show, you can perform on a global stage, or you can take it and actually market it to other magicians, depending on what you want to do with it. So you can find out more by going onto Phil's website and clicking on the Italia Arcana, and you're going to find out all about it, and then contact Phil and get the ball rolling. Okay, so next piece of news, and this happened a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't believe when I was looking at last week's Magic News that I did not mention this, and I'm very sorry, but Curtis Cam has passed away. Now, Curtis Cam is one of my favourite magicians of all time. I've always considered myself a coin worker, and Curtis Cam was responsible for the type of coin magic I like to perform. Curtis's work on the Palms of Steel series, introducing me to people like Reed McClintock and Kiana Harbottle, just blew me away. The things that he could do with coins, and he was posting videos right up until just before he passed away. He will be missed. His coin magic, his magic in general, was just exceptional. And I will be doing a video, kind of a tribute video to Curtis Cam soon. But unfortunately, if you didn't know, Curtis Cam has passed away. He was an absolute legend in the coin magic world, and unfortunately, he is going to be missed. Okay, in more news, the next star of Magic TV is going to be announced soon. As you know, for the last couple of weeks, we've been running a competition to find the next star of Magic TV. I am going to be doing a documentary, just like I did with Matt, but with somebody who knows. Now, it is very close. There are a couple of people that could win it, but it is very close. The winner is going to be announced very soon. And then we will be starting the documentary series, and I'm very excited about this. I'm really excited about working with somebody who really wants to level up in every single way, and we're going to document the whole thing. So look out for it soon. I think within the week we are going to be announcing the next star of Magic TV. Okay, let's talk about Magic conventions, and we're going to start with the South Tyneside Magic Convention. Kay Dyson and Matrix Magic and Tom Brace have all been added to the South Tyneside Convention. Now, there's already some great names that have been announced, but they are piling people onto that convention like there is no tomorrow. Kay Dyson, Matrix, and Tom Brace. Now, Matrix is one of my favourite illusion acts. I've seen them perform many times. Alex Jessen and his team are fantastic. If you've not seen Alex in person, please go check them out. Kay Dyson I met last year and watched her perform, and she was a great performer. And Tom Brace is absolutely wonderful as well. So I will keep announcing to you when new names are being announced, but the South Tyneside Convention is gearing up to be the best one yet. Okay, so continuing to talk about Magic conventions, the Magic Circle History Day is coming on the 7th of June. That's right, 7th of June, Magic Circle History Day. I've never been to a Magic Circle History Day, but apparently they spend the entire day at the Magic Circle headquarters talking about the history of magic, and there's talks and lectures. So if you're interested in the history of magic, the Magic Circle are opening their doors 7th of June, and it's going to be apparently the best one yet. Now, talking about Magic Circle, the Magic Circle convention is coming up very soon on the 22nd of June. And as I said, I'm going to be there. Ryland's going to be there. I believe Matt's going to be there as well. So the whole Magic TV team are going to be there. But I want to let you know that on Saturday, I have an interview going up on Talk Magic with Lee Hathaway and Michael J. Fitch, two of the hardest working professional magicians in the country, and they are spilling the beans on everything that we need to know about the Magic Circle Convention. I wanted to sit down with them and chat to them. This one promises to be the best year yet. There's only a few tickets left. So if you do want to come to the Magic Circle Convention, then it's the 22nd of June. Watch that video on Saturday. And if that doesn't convince you to go to the Magic Circle convention, nothing will. It's very, very exciting. Okay, one more Magic convention to talk about, and that's the Ferrybridge Day of Magic, which is taking place on the 6th of July. 6th of July, Ferrybridge Day of Magic. Right, the Ferrybridge Day of Magic is one of my favourite one-day conventions. I absolutely love it. I've always loved the Ferrybridge Day of Magic, and I'm telling you right now, this is the year. If you've never been, this is the year that you want to go for a couple of different reasons. First reason, I've been invited to perform a one-off lecture. So I'm going to put together a lecture for the Ferrybridge Day of Magic for the 6th of July, never seen before, never seen again. It's going to have a ton of magic in that I never plan on lecturing on again. So if you want to see a very exclusive one-off Craig Petty lecture, that's going to be at the Ferrybridge Magic Convention on the 6th of July. Also, if you've been there, you know there's a gala show in the evening. And I can tell you that my kids, Ryland and Thea, they have been spending all day, every day, for the last 6 months rehearsing because they're putting an illusion act together. They want to be the youngest brother and sister illusion act in magic. And the stuff that they've been doing and the routines they've been putting together are incredible. Well, they are going to be debuting their illusion act on the gala show at the Ferrybridge Magic Convention. They're called Magic and Mischief, and it's not going to be their first booking. They've got 2 bookings that are taking place in June, private bookings, and 1 private booking taking place in July so far, but the first public performance is going to be at the Ferrybridge Day of Magic. So if you want to see Ryland and Thea and what they've been working on for the last few months, and you want to see the Magic and Mischief illusion act, then Ferrybridge Magic Convention, 6th of July, you're going to see a special one-off lecture from me. There's going to be an incredible gala show, and Magic and Mischief are going to be there in the gala show. Outside of that, make sure that you contact Danny Hunt, because Danny Hunt is one of the organisers for the event, and Danny will be the person you speak to about tickets. So hopefully, if you're coming to Ferrybridge, I'll see you there. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I need to talk about, a couple of controversial things that are happening in Magic. And the first one is what I want to call leather wars. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this, but the 2 people who I consider both of them friends, by the way, so I've got no dog in this fight in any way, shape or form. I'm not going to give you an opinion on this. I'm just going to put the information across. But the 2 people involved in this I consider friends. I wasn't going to say anything, but they've made it very public. So because they've made it very public, I think it's worth bringing into the Magic News, because the Magic News has to be objective and has to be everything that's happening in Magic. So, Ari Phillips from Grum Leatherwork and the Mind Hacker, Tony Antonio from the Mind Hacker, both gentlemen make incredible leather products. I've spoken many times about how Keymaster is kept on a custom-made piece of leatherwork that Tony has done for me. My cheetah chips are kept in a piece of leatherwork that Tony has done for me. It's incredible. Ryland uses one of Ari's chop cups. I currently have, as part of my everyday carry, look, I'll prove it, in my pocket, I actually have this, which is the new trick by Tony Antonio and Chris Congreve. That is literally my everyday carry. But I use and think that one of the best tricks ever released is Ari's version of the Nest of Wallets. Look, the 2 of them are fantastic at what they do. However, they've got into a bit of an argument online, so it's worth talking about that. It's definitely worth talking about that. And it all started with Tony. So Tony put a post on Facebook on the 11th of May, and he didn't name names at all. He didn't talk about Ari, he didn't talk about Grum. But he talked about how in January 2024, I publicly released my Push and Go deck holster, a utility device for magicians designed for working professionals in mind. The key design choices were intentional and well considered. And then he talks about all of this. And he says that it's been on his website since launch and used by magicians around the world. It's been demoed publicly, discussed in performer circles, and ordered by working pros who value simplicity and efficiency. Recently, a new product was announced under the name Quick Draw. The promotional language used suggests it's original, yet many of the key features and selling points are near identical to what I've already had on the market for well over a year. He then goes through all of those and says, QuickDraw's designer interacted with me about my holster last year, so there's no question he was aware of the product's existence and design. And then he says he's had a lot of messages from friends, customers, and fellow magicians voicing frustrations and calling out similarities. And then he says, I have no interest in the public feud. I'm not in the business of starting fights, but I do believe in calling things what they are. When someone takes a product already available to the community, mimics its core functionality and design and markets it as something new, that's not innovation, that's imitation. And then he says, I'll let others draw their own conclusions. The timeline and the product details are out there for all to see. For those who continue to support original makers, your encouragement means everything. So he's feeling quite slighted. He's not said who the person is, but he's named the product. He feels quite slighted that he feels that his work has been basically copied. And he's talking about QuickDraw, which has been a new product that's going on Kickstarter soon by Ari Phillips from Grum. So Grum then let's just have a look here. There you go. So Grum then put on a blog on their website called, let's have a look at it, Setting the Record Straighter. And he says, let's have a look here. There you go. It seems there's been some controversy surrounding the recent release and pre-launch of my latest product, QuickDraw, on Kickstarter. And I think it's time to set the record straight. And he talks about... there you go. He talks about QuickDraw is not a copy. Let's clear this up. QuickDraw is not a copy, not a replica, not an imitation of the Mind Hacker push and go holster. The idea is that it undermines both the development journey I've taken and the respect I have for the community of creators I'm part of. And then he talks about the key facts about QuickDraw. He talks about, I'm not going to go into all the key facts and everything, but he goes into everything and how it's constructed and talks about all of that and talks about versatility and functionality. And then he says, many magic products appear similar on the surface, especially to the untrained eye. From chop cups to wallets to card effects, my own Ringo hanky nest of wallets and chop cups could all be questions by those unfamiliar with their working method, unique methods and mechanics, but each has its own identity. If we apply the same logic applied to QuickDraw, should we question he's mentioned Tony Antonio. Should we question his Greek Peak wallet as an imitation of the Shelby wallet with a money clip added, or his version of Out to Lunch with an integrated pen holster? These aren't accusations, they're examples of how iteration, variation, and reinterpretation are common across all creative industries. Just like bicycle cards and card shark decks serve the same purpose, but differ in field design and target users, so can our holsters. To be blunt, a copy is a replica. One thing is for certain, copies are inferior in every possible way. That's just false replica, but QuickDraw is not a replica in the slightest. Then he goes on about the timeline. After Push and Go's released, I decided to release my own version publicly, not in response. But okay, I invest heavily in development, testing, and marketing. My products are seen and tested at conventions. Blah 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 blah. My landscape style holsters were out in the wild before the Push and Go was launched, not just sold formally due to production challenges. After Push and Go release, I decided to release my own version publicly, not in response, but to avoid confusion and misrepresentation. And yet it has quietly sold at conventions where I invested and paid to exhibit. It's also worth noting that I founded Grum several years before I even considered working with leather. Before Tony considered working with leather, early on he reached out for me for advice. And then he talks about a broader view of the market. Innovation doesn't necessarily mean the first to ever make something. It means bringing a fresh approach, a better method, or a new take. Let's not pretend that competition equals copying. Almost every niche in magic, wallets, index systems, equivoke variations, have competing options that share surface level similarities whilst being fundamentally different. He then talks about his track record and talk about all the different things. I designed and released my double cross pen holder, which was followed closely by another version released at the same time. I said nothing. I created my Equivoke Pro, which included a prediction inside a leather keyring long before Chipnosis came out with a similar outcome. I said nothing. I released my utility device for a 21st Century Phantom and Out to Lunch with an integrated pen clip, both of which were followed by similar offerings from the Mind Hacker. Again, I said nothing. I also developed poker chip holders, coin holders, and many styles of packet trick holders. On one occasion, I offered a custom colour option to complement new product launches, for example, with Craig Petty's Evoke. Unfortunately, that particular release was not well received by him who happened to be launching a similar case at the same time. He advised me against offering my generic 3 poker holder chip, as he was doing one also, and even suggested I refer my customers to him. There you go. One more thing. When people first support his recent post, they later deleted their comments after seeing the full story. Final word, I admire his work. It's high quality and clearly made with care, just like mine is. Different styles suit different performers. This isn't a matter of knockoffs or counterfeits. There's no IP infringement here. It's simply another valid solution to be shared. Let's encourage innovation, not stifle it. Right. That went up on his face. That went up on. So Tony posted it on his personal Facebook page. Then Ari posted that as a blog on his website, and then shared that blog to about 1 million different Facebook pages, groups. I saw it in many, many different groups. So then Tony then came back to that with an open letter to Ari Phillips, which again he posted on his own Facebook page. An open letter to Ari Phillips from Glon Leathercraft in response to his blog post. He says, I hadn't intended to continue this publicly, but since you've chosen to share your Setting the Record Straight post across more than 30 groups, mentioning me directly and making sweeping implications, I think it's only fair to offer a single measured response. This isn't about starting a feud, it's about setting the record straight. 2 individuals can have creative differences, that's normal and sometimes healthy. What saddens me is that we share so many mutual friends and professional contacts. It's upsetting for them to be caught in it. In my original post, I chose not to name you or your product. My first mention of QuickDraw was on the 11th, blah, 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 blah. I've no interest in responding to this all over the internet. Most of the community don't want to see 2 creators debating. Actually, they do. It's always what people want to see. Feuds in Magic are the thing that everybody wants. But when one side pushes out a one-sided narrative, the response comes necessary. And then he says, let's talk about the truth. Your post is full of inaccuracies, from timeline to development claims to material choices and functionality compromises. It paints a version of events that veers heavily into the realm of fairyland. You frame QuickDraw as something wholly original, developed in a vacuum, when its core features have been present in my push and go holster since 2004. You know the timeline and you know me. You say that you've been working with QuickDraw for months, and why didn't you mention a word of it when we last spoke in person? When you were living in London, you had a private falling out with me, during which time I called you out on what I felt was underhanded tactics. You didn't speak to me months. Then in January this year, you approached me to apologise and clear the air. Shortly before you left to New Zealand, we had dinner together with a group of friends, and you posted a picture of us on social media. If you had been quietly developing a holster similar to mine for months, why didn't you say anything? On your implied accusations in your post, you go further than defending your product. You begin implying wrongdoing on my part. You question the originality of the Greek Peak wallet, 21st century phantom wallet, Chipnosis. By now, by name of implication, you've cast doubt on not just me, but on the integrity of those whom I've built solid working relationships with. They can speak for themselves. I have no doubt they will. But you're treading on dangerous ground when you start throwing around accusations that undermine the reputations of people far beyond just me. Disagreements happen, but dragging in respected collaborators to bolster your narrative is unwise. Let's talk about best practices. In your Kickstarter post, you mentioned plans to produce QuickDraw in an ABS plastic via injection molding and show off a 3D printed prototype. Let's be honest, to all intents and purposes, what you're describing is near identical in spirit and form to the Fast Draw deck holster by David Mann. Does this align with best practices? If you're going to argue for innovation against imitation, that has to apply consistently. Your resemblance here is talking about that. On the I said nothing narrative, as for the list of assertions that you've made, let's call them what they are, not true and not just opinion, demonstrably untrue. Each one of those claims seems to be disproved by a similar search of our respective public timelines. You frame yourself as someone who said nothing whilst clearly saying quite a lot, passive-aggressively dropping into accusations that don't stand up to scrutiny. You may not have posted confrontationally before, but the tone and structure says otherwise. What this is really about. This was never about gatekeeping. It's about acknowledging who brought what to market, and in doing so, and with honesty. We don't need lengthy defences and justifications. Those in the community. But right, there you go. It's done. So there you go. That's Leatherworth. This stuff happens in the community all of the time. And a lot of the time it happens and nobody is ever aware of it. A lot of the time it happens and nobody is ever aware of it unless it's made public knowledge. There's times in the past where people have contacted me and they've said, hey, I've got this trick, I've realised it's similar to yours, what can I do about this? And, you know, we've come to an arrangement. Sometimes I've found out that a trick, you know, I'll tell you, I bought out with the 1914, the Visible Project. And if you've seen the Visible Project, there's a routine in there that's a triumph. And it's a triumph with a paper bag using an invisible deck. And I was showing this around to magicians, and Rowan Armstrong turned around to me and said, that looks very similar to Shake and Bake by Steve Bedwell. And I had never seen Shake and Bake by Steve Bedwell. So I found it, and I realised it was very similar. The only difference is he was using a pot noodle holder. So I contacted Steve privately, just contacted him and said, look, here's a video of the trick. It's coming out soon. Would you like me to pull it from the trick? Would you like me to pull that particular routine? Or can I put it on there with your blessing and talk about Shake and Bake? And he's like, yep, thanks for reaching out. Absolutely fine. Not a problem. Please include it in there. Thanks for the credit. Good luck with the product. And a lot of the time, that's what happens. A lot of the time, if it's kept behind the scenes, a situation can be worked out very, very easily. When it becomes civil, when it becomes a dick measuring contest, that's when things start to get public, and that's when nobody wins. Because what will happen is you'll have a he says, she says. And I'll tell you something, this community, as wonderful as it is, and this is why I do Magic TV, because I love the community. But the problem is, this community loves it when there are arguments, there are disagreements. This community loves it when there's shit to talk about, and they will egg people on and they will take sides, and that's when it becomes really nasty. And I've seen that happen a lot of times as well. Hello, Atomic Deck. So my advice to Tony and Ari, not that they've asked my advice at all, but my advice is just to keep it offline. Delete all the posts. Delete everything that's been made. Hell, if you even reach out to me, I'll drop this video off if you want me to as well. I'll get rid of this video. But you know, you guys have made it news, so I have to talk about it. I consider you both friends. I support both of your products. I think they're both great. My advice is to sort it out off screen. Tony, I understand why you did what you did. Ari, I understand why you did what you did. The best approach now is to take it all offline and come to some sort of arrangement between the two of you. That is the only way you can move forward, else it's just going to escalate. Where does it end? You know, where does it end? Now Tony said his say, now is Grum going to come back and say something? And then it's just, take it offline, delete everything, sort it out amongst yourselves. That's my advice. But there you go. That's the news. Okay, so the next piece of news I want to talk about, and this is another example of the community being quite vicious. A small percentage of the community, but it can be quite vicious. And it happens every single time there's something controversial. And the actual fact, it's something that I needed to learn as a reviewer. I'm not talking about me as a creator now, I'm talking about me as a reviewer. So when I came back to the Magic community, and I started Magic TV, I was doing the review show and I was being very hard on products. I was screaming, I was shouting, I was throwing them in the bin. I don't know if you guys remember me and Ryland cutting stuff up and putting it in the bin. And you'll also notice that we haven't done that in a couple of years. And the reason we've not done that in a couple of years is because, honestly, I realised that it was not the right thing to do for a couple of different reasons. One, as a reviewer, I think you need to state your case, absolutely. But the thing is, it's subjective. Magic is subjective. One man's trash is another man's treasure. And it's very easy to get views on a video if you want to, just by screaming and shouting about a product and how bad it is. You know, some of the best viewed episodes of the review show with me and Ryland is when we went absolutely nuts about products. But I began to realise this isn't the right thing to do, because it has to be subjective. It has to be only our opinion. And that doesn't mean you can't be honest. That doesn't mean you can't tell people that something's bad if it's bad. Absolutely. But there's a right way and there's a wrong way to go about it. And I had to learn that the hard way. I have learned it. And it's an important thing to do. It really is. Like, I'll never forget me and Dave Penn taking the piss out of this trick on the Wizard Product Review. And it was like this fake animated bird production. It was terrible. It was one of the worst tricks I'd ever seen. And we absolutely ripped into it on the Wizard Product Review. A couple of years later, somebody had bought that trick and they got through to the semi-finals of Britain's Got Talent using that trick. There's products that I've reviewed and I've been very hard on them and said how bad they are. And I've seen somebody else actually using them in their work. And I've seen people include that in a show reel. So, however bad a reviewer is going to think a product is, it has to be subjective. And I don't think that reviewers should try to aim for sensationalism. And I did that. Look, I'm talking about this as a reformed reviewer. You're never going to see me and Ryland smash things up again. You're really not. It's not going to happen again, because I realized however bad I think something is, it's only my opinion. The reason I bring that up is because there's a reviewer online that has recently reviewed a trick by Wayne Fox. Now, I'm not going to say who the reviewer is. Some of you will know, some of you won't, and I've got a history with this reviewer. So I'm not saying anything negative about the reviewer in question at all. I'm not wanting to start a feud here. But they were reviewing Neat and Tidy 2.0 by Wayne Fox. And I saw the review and I was like, oh, watch this, because I like Neat and Tidy by Wayne Fox. I love it. And the review really trashed it. Really trashed it. In fact, the title of the video was something like, "This is embarrassing," and then the trick was put into the bag of shite. And the actual product was put in the bag of shite, and made to look like it was the worst trick in the world. Now, that's that reviewer's opinion, and you know what? Absolutely 100%, he should be entitled to his opinion. And you know what? Me and Wayne Fox don't know each other very well. I'm closer with Dave Penn than I am with Wayne Fox. But what I will tell you is I have been trying to get Wayne Fox for the last decade to re-release Neat and Tidy. I did Neat and Tidy in gigs all of the time. And then I lost mine. And I was so glad when Neat and Tidy came out again. I have bought 4 of them. And I think it's amazing. And I've been doing it at every gig because I do a lot of rubber band magic. And it is an amazing way to open a rubber band routine, because I can bring out these rubber bands, I can hand a couple of them out, and it's great. I love it. I really do. And I reviewed it, and me and Ryland reviewed it, and Ryland performed it, and we both said it was a great product, and I genuinely believe it is. Now, that's my opinion, that it's a good product. Another reviewer's opinion is it's absolutely trash, and it's only useful to go into the bag of shite, and that's absolutely fine. The problem is, whenever you put a negative review online, and you're really, very venomous about it, like I used to be on my channel, you tend to find that you'll get certain people in the community really just using this as an opportunity to almost cause a fight. And I saw this with Sean Devine. So when I released the Atomic Deck, and I don't want to talk about the Atomic Deck really, because we've kind of done that to death. I've talked about the Atomic Deck. We've gone back and forth about the Atomic Deck. It is what it is, and I'm so proud of it, and I always will be. But when Sean Devine reviewed it, he absolutely trashed it. He trashed it. He took the cards, he ripped them up into bits, he squished them down. He said it was the worst trick ever created. It had no redeeming features, and then went on to say, I haven't actually watched this trick. I haven't actually watched this product. I've not watched the tutorial. I literally just got the box, opened up the box, looked at what I got, and now I'm recording this video and putting it online. So his review was based off not even watching the product. But that review had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of posts saying, Craig Petty's a piece of shit. Craig Petty's the worst creator in the world. I can't believe that Murphys would do this. Why is the quality so bad? When in actual fact, you look in the Facebook group for the Atomic Deck and you see that there's literally 1,000+ people talking about how amazing the Atomic Deck is and how they're doing it at shows all the time. And I use it in every single show. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Now, that's an extreme situation because Sean hadn't even watched the product. He was making that video based off just opening a box. He's entitled to his opinion. Absolutely, he's entitled to his opinion. But the problem is the way that he was in that review caused people to just have a rallying cry towards, yeah, Murphys are terrible, the Atomic Deck is terrible, Craig Petty's terrible. And it's not a nice situation to be in. Genuinely, I left this community for 3 weeks and had to go away on holiday to America just to kind of get my head straight. Because as a creator, it's not nice to experience that, especially if you've put 100% into it, right? And I'm seeing this same thing happen with Wayne. In that I read the comments underneath this review, and it's like, Wayne Fox is terrible, Wayne Fox is rubbish, and Wayne Fox is, I can't believe TCC would do this, I can't believe TCC would release this trash. And I'm like, that's just not fair on Wayne. Wayne does so much in this community. Now, I don't know Wayne, but I know how much he does for the Magic Circle. I know how much he does for the Young Magicians Club. I know how much he does for magic in general. I also know how much he loves magic. And it's not fair. And here's the thing. If you don't like it, you say, I don't like it. I don't like it. Here's why I don't like it. These are the reasons I don't like it. But ultimately, it's up to you. But to review a product and throw it in the bag of shite and then say, just being so venomous about it. And then Dave Penn's name got brought into it saying, hey, I don't understand why TCC are working with Wayne Fox. It must be that Wayne's friends with it's alluded that Dave Penn's name is not mentioned, but it's fairly obvious where we're going with this, and people even mention his name in the comments, that that it's implied that Dave Penn was the reason that Wayne Fox got a deal with TCC. And then you look at the comments, and the same reviewer is commenting over and over again in the comments, going, "I am the only honest reviewer. Everyone, every other reviewer is a clown." Well, he's putting a little clown emoji. And look, here's the thing. I have no problem. We've gone back and forth in the past, myself and this reviewer. I'm not wanting to start another feud at all. In fact, I actually think that he has become one of my favourite magic reviewers on YouTube. I actually think that he does an amazing job. I actually think that he does a good job. I love his interviews that he's been doing recently. His channel has, in many ways, become my favourite channel to watch. And I encourage everyone to watch his channel. I really do. What I don't want to see happening is what continually happens every single time there's a feud that's created within this industry. We need to kind of move forward with positivity, not negativity. And if you think every other, if a reviewer thinks that every other reviewer is a clown, that's fine. There's no need to point that out. There's no need to say that. If you think I'm a clown and I don't give reviews that are honest, if you think Magic Orthodoxy, everybody, if you think that every other reviewer is a clown, that's great. That's great. Fine. That's your opinion. But, there's no need to point that out, because now what we're doing is we're having tribalism. We're having, well, this person thinks that this person's a clown. This person thinks this person's a clown. And then you throw, I used to do this with the Wizard product review back in the day. We used to put stuff in the trash of the week and throw it in the bin. We stopped doing that. Because here's the thing, this is what happened. This is what happened with the Wizard product review. Me and Dave Penn would start doing stuff to get views. So we'd do stuff like throw stuff in the bin. This is the trash of the week. We'd rip into stuff. We'd talk about how terrible. We'd go on a rant. And every week, we'd if a bad product came in, we'd go overboard. We'd try to find something even more to sensationalize it. And it got to the point where it was no longer about the review. It's like, well, what can we do to one-up this? And then all of a sudden it all blew in our face, with many different things. The Wayne Dobson thing blew up in our face. Not just the Wayne Dobson thing, there's a bunch of stuff that blew up in our face at the same time, and we had to rein it in. And then when I came back to YouTube with Magic TV, I ended up doing the same thing, stupidly. And I think it's because I started doing the rants on, at the time it was lockdown, I did a rant on an open letter to the Prime Minister, an open letter to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and that was well received. So I was like, oh, people like this, so I'm going to carry on doing it. And it took me realising that this is not a good thing to do, to scale it back. And I regret it. And I'm still going to be honest, if I don't think a trick's very good, I'm going to say that trick's not very good. But I'm not going to go overboard. I'm going to try not to go overboard, because I don't think that we should be encouraging all that negativity, because now you've got people, if I say something's terrible, people are going to be like, yeah, that's terrible. Thanks for calling it out, Craig. You're the only honest reviewer. And that's what I'm seeing happening here. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you called out Wayne Fox. Oh, it's so nice to see a refreshing, honest review. Hang on a minute. It's a refreshing, honest review. What? Yeah, I agree. It's an honest review. So are we saying that the only time a review is honest is if it's negative, and we can't ever have a positive review ever again? Because as a Magic reviewer, you can't win. If something's good and you say it's good, then you're biased. If something's bad, you've got an agenda. So I think all you can do as a magic reviewer is just put across what you think's good, what you think's bad, talk about the product, and that's it. And I don't think we should. I think we should be trying to move forward with positivity and not negativity. And I think we should be focusing on, just like trying to be positive, or at least not being. Look, if somebody doesn't like it, and this is for any reviewer out there, if you don't like a trick, this is my opinion. If you don't like a trick, you've got two options. One, you don't review it. I don't think that's helpful because I think people need to see if there's a bad product out there, in your opinion. So the second option is you very calmly turn around and say why it's bad. Well, I don't like this. Why do I not like it? Well, I don't think it's a good trick. I don't think it's a good method. I don't think it's this. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's the other. And then let people make their own decision up. All of the reasons why this particular reviewer didn't like Neat and Tidy 2.0 is why I did like it. It is an original trick as far as I'm concerned, because it's. I've never seen another trick where a bunch of elastic bands turns into a rubber band ball. Never seen that. Just because it uses a pull doesn't mean that it's a bad trick. Wayne's used the best method to achieve that effect. The effect of a load of rubber bands turning into a rubber band ball, that is unique. When has that ever been done before? It hasn't. Just because it uses a method that's been used in other effects doesn't make it not an original item. The fact that it's a bunch of rubber bands on a cable tie on a pull doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a bad product. It is the best way to achieve that. I can't think of a better way to turn a bunch of loose rubber bands into a rubber band ball. That is the absolute best way to do it. And I have done it since in gigs, and I absolutely love it. So one person thinks it's terrible and it's shite of the week. The other person here thinks it's amazing and thinks it's fantastic. And I've gone out and gigged it in the real world, and I've loved it, and I've actually bought 4 of them. So, but that doesn't mean that the reviewer I'm talking about is wrong. He's not. He's entitled to his opinion, and I know that he has morals and he has ethics, and I know he's a good reviewer, and I know that he's got a very popular YouTube channel, and I very much love his YouTube channel. I'm not going to say anything negative about him because there's nothing to say, and we've had our feuds in our past, and I don't want to dwell on that at all. All I'm saying is that I think that we should be more positive moving forward, or at least we should try to rein it. If we think something's terrible, just put across why you think it's terrible. Drop the bag of shite, is my opinion. And it took me a while to get to that point, but I think that, somebody said something to me, and it's true. Somebody said something to me. They said, and to preface this, let me explain. I'm finding that a lot of gigs that I'm being booked for at the moment, weirdly, I mean, my company gets tons of gigs, but me personally, I'm getting a lot of bookings from fiancés booking me for their wedding as a surprise for their husband-to-be, because he's a fan of magic and he's a big fan of Magic TV, and he watches Magic TV all the time, and this bride wants to get me as a present for their groom-to-be. It happens all the time. Like every other week, I'm getting an inquiry like that. And I'm thinking, these people have all seen me. If I'm the sort of person that's standing there on the channel ranting and raving, who is seeing that? So you'll see that a lot of the rants have been deleted off this channel. I've just quietly made them private. Because, I know that if people Google me, and it's not so much about the company, it's not a problem if it's a company, but if somebody Googles me, I don't want them to find a rant video of me or screaming about a trick that's terrible. That's not what I want them to find. I don't know. It's just, look, Magic News is me presenting the news, talking about what's happening in the industry and giving my opinion. This is something that's happened this week in the industry. This is my opinion. I've got nothing else to say. Okay, I'm going to very quickly finish off by talking about some new products that have come out recently. There are a bunch of decks of cards, but nobody cares about that. Comedy Mummy by Mago Flash. I'm not really too keen on his stuff. But if you're a kids entertainer and it's coming up to Halloween in a few months, it's a clatter box based around a mummy theme, which is kind of interesting. That might be something you want to look at. The 52 Farewells hardcover book by Jeff Latter has just come out. Basically, Jeff Latter is one of the best coin magicians of all time. A book came out a couple of years ago, great book on coin magic called The Long Farewell. Jeff is unfortunately no longer with us right now, but his legacy lives on. 52 Farewells, a lot of people don't realise that Jeff was also an incredible cardician, and 52 Farewells is a book all on Jeff Latter's card material, including a lot of underground card routines that he's only shared in inner circles before. It looks incredible. I've ordered it. It's very exciting. I'm a big Jeff Latter fan. So that's hopefully going to be quite good. The cane table, both the case and the top hat version, has been released by Bondley and MS Magic. Basically, it's a cane, like an appearing cane, that you can turn into a table, and then you can immediately take either a top hat or a little case, screw it on top, and you've got a table. So if you want to walk out on stage, produce the table and start your act, maybe you're a manipulator, for example, this might be the sort of thing that you want to go for. Evolution by Chris Dugdale is now available through Murphy's. The 230-page book, Gimmicks and Weekly Coaching. I reviewed this a few weeks ago, or a few months ago. It's incredible. If you're looking to level up your business, you want to check out Evolution by Chris Dugdale. The Everyday Wallet by Mark Traversoni is now available through all Magic dealers through Murphy's Magic. It's an affordable wallet to carry around every day. Minimalist design. Plenty of space to function as a normal wallet, but it also has an RFID protected. The wallet is also RFID protected, apart from the front window, blah, 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 blah. Designed as a card to wallet that needs no slider to guide the card into the wallet. And it's also an object to sealed envelope that can be carried ready to go. The wallet has plenty of extra space, including 5 card slots, 2 larger pockets. So it looks really good. It's starting to bring out some good wallets, so you might want to check that out. Other stuff that has come out is a new trick by Twister Magic called the Dragon Tube. An incredible deceiving method to appear, disappear, or transform multiple objects. And it's completely self-working. Great for kids show entertainers. Twister Magic do some really good stuff. Tobias Tolstol has Liquid Spectrum, who originally was just an illusionist thing, but now has come out through Murphy's and therefore is available for more good Magic dealers. So that's kind of an interesting thing that you might want to have a look at. Lee Alex, who is the quick change expert, has brought out a At the Circus gag bag. He brought out a gag bag last year or the year before last, and this is the At the Circus gag bag, which is kind of an interesting take. If you're a kids entertainer, that might be something that you want to have a look at. Also, what is this? There you go. Yes, this is what I was looking for. Rubik's Colors has come out by Plato, which is a magic trick designed for children's shows. They've taken the classic cups from 2 plates idea and revamped it and using Rubik's Cubes instead. So if you're a kids entertainer and you want to do something with Rubik's Cubes, that might be something that you want to look at. And then finally, well, actually not finally, also Deuce Gala have bought out Pop Hayden's Popsicle in orange. That's now gone into Murphy's, so you can pick that up. And then finally, Credit Swipe by myself and Penguin Magic has been released. And thank you for everyone that's picked this up. If you're in the UK, they're currently available at Monster and Magic Box and Magic TV. Those are the 3 places you can get them from at the moment. If you're in America, it has been so popular, it is sold out after 5 days. It is now available to pre-order. Limited amounts are going to come back on the 30th of May. So if you want to get the trick that everybody is talking about, that is literally sold out faster than anything in Penguins had for the last year, it's now, the second batch will be coming on the 30th of May, but it's limited quantities, so please bear that in mind. They now have it available for pre-order. It has been a huge seller. Thank you to everybody that's picked that up. So there you go, guys. That's another Magic news in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. Now, don't forget, you want to join the Netrix, which is my online streaming platform for magicians. Please go to thenetrix.com. And then tomorrow, I'm telling you right now, the video tomorrow is amazing. I sat down with Nemid Phoenix. I sat down with Thomas Maloney, and I basically did like an almost 1 hour masterclass video on the real secrets of performing close-up magic. We're going to talk about pocket management. We're going to talk about trick selection. We're going to talk about approaching tables, what to do when you get to the gig, how to leave the gig. And we're going to have a roundtable discussion from 3 of the busiest working pros in the UK. That's going up tomorrow at 9 o'clock. There's a lot happening on Magic TV, so please make sure you stick around. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig. Hope you enjoyed the Magic News. This is Magic TV, and I'll see you again soon.